Hello, everyone. Everyone who will be live and everyone who will watch the rebroadcast. Today's live is three things that you should not say to parents who have lost children. Let's see if we get a couple of people to join us. I'm going to wait just a few seconds here and see if we can get some folks to join us. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So today, again, it is Colette Shumper, transitional life coach for mothers who have lost their children and are trying to find life afterwards. Let me just make sure my volume is up. I am going to talk about three things that you should not say to parents who have lost their children. I want to first say that I know that we all struggle with what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. When we talk to people who have lost anyone, let alone parents who have lost children, we struggle with that. We struggle. What should I say? What would be most important, and how can I say that? So for most people, the intention is good. The intention of the heart is good on wanting to be to be a friend, to be a relative, to be someone who cares. You mean well. You want to give a level of comfort. You would like to bring peace to the situation, and you want to be compassionate. In all reality, most people don't mean any harm by what they say. And so I want to just say this live is not to scold anyone. It is to empower every individual who looks at this and has struggled with what should they say. Today I'm doing three things that you shouldn't say, and tomorrow I'm going to give you the solutions to those three things that you shouldn't, that you should say in place of the three things that I'm telling you today that shouldn't really be said. And so if you are interested or you want to know the key things that you can say that would be comforting to parents who have lost children, then if you haven't followed me or not following my page, I am Colette Shumpert again at, you can find it at We Loved and Lost on Facebook, We Loved and Lost. So let's talk about that. This live is intended to empower you. So I want to make sure that you understand that. So number one, the first thing that you shouldn't say is this: let it go or move on. Sometimes people are looking out for your well-being, or they would hope that they could help you get through the process, but anytime you indicate let it go or move on, saying things in reference to that like this: you're hanging on too much. That's why you are so sad so long. Or maybe it might be said, you'll feel better if you let it go. And maybe it may even be said, if you let go, then it's possible that things will get better for you. Anything that you say that indicates or implies that you need to get over it is going to cause a fence. It can cause anger. It can cause invalid feelings when a person is grieving already. It can cause a person to want to be isolated and not speak openly about their feelings. And so let's just look at let it go or get over it. Although most people who say that, they really do mean well. They want to see you better. Typically they want you to not be in such a state of grief or hurt or pain. They want to try to make it better for you. But let's just look at how that may affect the individual when you say those types of things. What that means is, to them, people who have lost children, they interpret that to be this. They have already been forced to let go. The day that their child transitioned or died is the day that they were forced to let go. See, there's a difference between choosing to let go and being forced to let go. When in fact you didn't have control over the situation, it's a forced situation. And seeing how they've already been forced to let go, sometimes it takes a lot longer for people to get to a place where they can handle what has happened in their life, the loss of a child. It could also be seen that we could say, how else will I have memories? How else will I be able to show my love if I just let go? Having a child that precedes you in death makes you have to figure out how to walk and live again, because you've done this for however long it's been, a day, a year, 20 years, 40 years, 80 years, whatever the case may be. You have to figure out how to do that. And it's like kids don't come out walking, they go through a process. And losing one is the same thing, it's a process. And the other thing, when you say let go or get over it, the other hard thing to deal with is this, is that I have to learn or figure out how to move forward. And I may interpret that to be that I'm leaving my child behind. So some parents are want to stay where they are in order to keep the child that they had. Some of these things will take time, and it's different for every individual. I've said that over and over again, and I don't think I'll not say that in any video. It takes time, and it takes a lot of different things for different people. No roadmap is the same for any individual. We may share some of the same pieces, but it's not the same puzzle. So let's go to number 2. The second thing that shouldn't be said to parents who have lost children is this: any sentence that starts with at least. At least says that we should be grateful. We should be grateful for something. In other words, we should be grateful they didn't suffer. We should be grateful that you had the years, whatever days or moments that you may have had with them. You should feel blessed to have had him at all. At least you should feel blessed. The issue with at least, it makes it feel as if I shouldn't have pain. And that's not true. It makes it feel as if the person who has suffered the loss should not have pain. And there isn't a consolation prize. And that's what at least makes it feel like at least you had this, so you shouldn't feel this. And although it may not be the intention of the person who is saying it, it is how it is perceived that causes the issue. Hey, Shalonda, the other thing is this, that at some point it causes or makes the behavior of the individual who is suffering the loss, it makes them feel offended. And that is not the intention of people who are trying to comfort you. I get that. But by the things that you say, if you say words or sentences that start with at least this, when you talk about the loss of a person or a child, there is no consolation prize. And I know that the intention is not to offend, but when you start sentences with at least, it will be offensive if a person is not at that point yet. So you got to know exactly who you're talking to, where they are, whether they're a spiritual being, whether they've accepted what has happened, whether they are going through what stages of the grief process, it is a very delicate situation. And again, like I said, tomorrow we'll talk about the things that you can say that will be comforting, that will show compassion. And although I know you intend to do that, it doesn't always come across that way to people who have lost or to parents who have lost children. So the third thing and the final thing for this particular live on what not to say is time heals all wounds. And I know that we say that, and it has become just something that we say for almost every situation that is hurtful. But when we talk about a person, a parent who has lost a child, or even a person who has lost a loved one, time does not heal all wounds. That's not so. I know that's going to be challenging for some people, but time does not heal all wounds. And let me tell you why. Time is a part of the equation that goes with the healing, but time by itself does not heal all wounds. And when you talk about the loss of a child, all wounds are really never healed. And let me tell you why. And I know that for some saved folks, this might be a revelation, and that's because that and I'll talk about that tomorrow a little more about what you can say and when you should say it. The reason that time doesn't heal all wounds is because there's some things that have to go with it. Some of the things that have to go with it, it has to be coupled with something like an expectation, some direction, determination, some support. So time doesn't by itself heal all wounds. When you ask a parent who has lost a child, let's just talk about that for a second, because for every parent who has lost a child, whether it appears to you that they have moved on, or maybe some people use the word gotten through the process, every birthday, every anniversary of a death date, or something that child did of significance, every one of those peels a scab. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes we'll have celebrations, we'll do tributes, we'll do some people give gifts at Christmas, some people do fundraisers, they give money to different organizations. But I can guarantee you, even though it's in the honor of that child, it's not as if they go without feeling. It doesn't become second nature. When I think about birthdays and anniversaries and death dates and things like that, there are some people who still have tears 20 years later. There are some people who may be able to enjoy the laughter, but it's still a thought. And so when I say that the wound is always there, it is always there, because they could never forget. We could never forget that this has happened. So when we say time heals all wounds, it heals it enough that you are able to function. It heals it enough if you put the other things with it, but it alone does not heal all wounds. So I'm hoping that this is helping the people who are viewing now and the individuals who will view at some other point when we talk about the things that you shouldn't say, and how they can be viewed by those who have lost children and those who have lost loved ones. So I'm going to just recap the three things. The first one was letting go or moving on. That should never be said to a parent who has lost children, to basically get over it. That will cause some issues, some isolation. All three of these things will cause a person to almost at some point lose the relationship with the individual who is saying it, if in fact they're not at the stage where they can take what is being said and use the pieces that they can and throw the rest away. It just depends on where they are in the process. The second thing is that no sentence should ever be used for anyone. If it's a parent who has lost a child, or children, or individuals who have lost a loved one, the words "at least." I understand that at this stage of where I am in my loss, I can take an at least, but early on, at least would really rub me the wrong way because at least meant I should be grateful, but I didn't know how to be grateful at that stage of losing a child. Grateful how? And when we think about at least you have other children. Yeah, well, guess what happens? Just because you have other children doesn't mean that either one of those kids take the place of another kid. So to use the words at least would agitate or make a person feel very offended, because to know that you actually have lost a child, the other two that I have left don't replace Michael. Whitney and Tevin do not replace Michael. There are things that I shared with him that could never be replaced, regardless to what. So there is a open space. There is a void that could never ever be filled in the light of another child. And for those who have lost children very early in pregnancies and right at birth and very young, no matter how many kids they have later, it's not as if they forget the child, or at least they have 5 more kids. That's not a valid statement. And the third thing was time heals. And so we went over that, I think, in depth. Time does not heal by itself. There are things that has to happen with time in order to heal wounds long enough or effectively enough that you might be able to live your life. Wounds, again, I want to say, can be reopened. And the reason that they are reopened is because you have anniversaries, you have birthdays, you have celebrations where they're absent from. And it's due to the grief process that can come up at any given time. And grief is equal to love. When in fact you've loved, then you grieve. And so when I think about grief, I think about love. I go through grief because I loved. I have memories. I had hopes. I had dreams. And they're not happening. They're not happening. So those wounds can always be reopened. Now, they won't necessarily be reopened as if the day that it happened. But that doesn't make them invalid regardless to when, in fact, you feel them. So with that said, I want you to know that on tomorrow, I am going to do another live. And that live is going to tell you what the things that you should say, the things that will be comforting, the things that you intend to really do when you want to bring some kind of peace, when you want to let someone know that you're really there. So we talked today about the things 3 things you shouldn't say. And there are many, and I may do more lives in regards to that. But I want to be able to give you some solutions tomorrow. Solutions to the things that we talked about today. What shall I do if I'm not going to say time heals all wounds? What shall I say if I'm not going to say let it go or get over it, but I want to help them through the process? What, in fact, shall I say if, in fact, I don't want to say the words at least anymore because I don't want to offend the people that I care about when they have lost a child or have lost a loved one? These 3 things are valid in any stage of loss when it comes to losing a person. I titled it Parents because I am a parent who has lost, and I know that it's valid for every individual, but I focus mostly on mothers who have lost children. All right. I do pray that you all will share this with people that you know need it. I think the general population needs to understand what exactly should be said and what should not be said. Because if in fact the intention, when I started this video, I said, I believe that the intentions of most people are to bring comfort and to be compassionate to the individuals in which they're saying these things to. And so when we are, as a people or as an individual, are oblivious to the things that we may say, then then this in fact will help you and your intentions to be successful and empower you to say the things that will be most effective to the people in which you're trying to help. So again, it's Colette Shumper, transitional life coach for mothers who have lost their children and are trying to find life afterwards. Please share this video, and if you're not following me, please follow me on Facebook at We Loved and Lost. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at We Loved and Lost. And you can go to my website for videos and to find my YouTube channel at welovedandlost.com. Thanks again for joining. Everybody have a wonderful day.